If you have marketing and sales questions, I have answers. Here's how this works. First, you record your number one marketing or sales question. Second, you send it to me as an audio file. And finally, I answer it for you for free. My name's Oren Prunken, and welcome to my show.
Hi, Oren, Michelle here. Having a sales and marketing plan and budget is clearly important when starting out. What would be your top 5 must-dos or must-haves in that plan for a startup in Adelaide?
This is a great question. So I'm just assuming based on what you've given me that you are a startup that is pre-revenue, not actually making any money. So I'm just going to take that as the assumption for your question. So the one thing that I'd be looking at currently with that position is I would be concentrating on a business model rather than a business plan. And I'm basing this on all of the work done by Steve Blank, so in the Lean Startup. And startups really are searching to find a correct business model, and then companies are then trying to execute on that business model. And companies are the ones that are creating plans. And from all of my experience that I've worked with startups over probably the last 5, 6, 7 years now, is that a lot of them have gone in with a lot of thinking around what a plan is, and they should just really be looking at a higher level model. So I'm really going to start kind of with that assumption. And what I would do is break it into 2 subcategories of what are you selling and how are you selling it. So in terms of what are you selling, I'll be looking at what places like McDonald's and Hungry Jack's do. So there's kind of an infamous case study that floats around the internet that costs, and I'm not going to get the figures right, but it costs McDonald's, let's say $1 to acquire a customer. And what that customer does is they come in and they purchase this dollar product, usually a burger. And you can see, particularly in Australia, Hungry Jack's does this all the time. You notice every time you go past Hungry Jack's, they're going to have a big banner ad out the front of their physical locations just saying, $1 burgers or whatever. So they've got these $1 offers to entice you to come in. And then when you come in, you spend the dollar, but they basically make no profit off that. And then what they do, and if you notice, they're like, especially Hungry Jack's, to say, would you like that in a meal? So they try to upsell you to the meal. And then next minute, you've got chips and you've got a Coke. And if there's someone sitting next to you, they've got a meal, and then you've got the family meal, and you've got dessert, and then you drive out $40 later. So they make all of their money and their profit, particularly after that initial sale. So I'd really be concentrating on what you offer in terms of things like that. So what are your upsells from what you are initially selling? You'll probably only find that by going and actually out and talking to real people and seeing where they currently are in life. So what their goals are to get from where they're currently at to something in the future, and also that kind of pain point or that need where they're currently at. And then finally, in the future, what are some of those fears if they don't actually get that? And what are some of the dreams if they do? So you've kind of got, if you're picturing an axis, of the timeline going on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis you've got positive and negative. So you've got kind of 4 quadrants, and it'd be really worth going out and talking to who your customers are and working out where they're at currently, what the future looks like, both in terms of positive and negative, and you're going to really find out what they want. Now, in terms of what you're selling, again, I would also be looking at that progression in a logical order. So when they purchase the burger, what's the next thing that they want? And you kind of want to have chips because they're delicious, and then you want to have a drink to wash it all down, and then once you've had that, you want to finish it off with a dessert. Like, this is nothing new. If you look at potatoes, half the world has lived on potatoes because they're super cheap. Like Russia, USSR are living on, millions of people living on potatoes. You look at a soft drink, all it is literally water, flavoring, sugar, and then just a ton of profit in there. So just looking at what that logical progression is to get whatever that person wants now currently and whatever they want in the future, and how can you speed that up or automate it or make getting that desired result much quicker or with less effort. In terms of how you're going to be selling and how you communicate that, the main thing I really want you to think about is what is your hook, or how are you different than everyone else out in the marketplace. So a really great book called The Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's really about creating a blue ocean in an ocean full of competitors where all the shark are eating all of the fish. So having thoughts about who your competitors are, what they are offering, and positioning yourself different to what they are putting out to the marketplace. So really having a look at what your competitors are doing, and competition is fine in my opinion. It means that people have a need and people are buying, but differentiating yourself from those people. But also when you differentiate them, make sure that there is a clear line in people's minds of what you offer compared to what they offer. So the next thing I would be looking at is the customer journey. So really smart guy named Eugene Schwartz wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising. And in the Breakthrough Advertising book, he came up with a model called the market awareness model. And it goes through 5 stages. It goes through someone being unaware that they have a problem, then becoming aware that they have a problem. Then the third step is, once they're aware that they have a problem, being aware that there are actually solutions out there to create the change. And then the fourth step being, now that they know there are solutions, and obviously hopefully one of those solutions is yours, they become aware of that solution and they become product aware, particularly of your solution. And then once they become product aware and they like your solution, then they become most aware, because they've got the solution and they're most aware of how it works, because obviously they're consuming it or using it. So within that model, you can't really go to most aware from unaware. There's a few exceptions or examples where you can do that, but a lot of people, before they actually buy from you, they've got to know that they have a problem. They need to know you can solve it. They need to like you, and then once they like you, they really need to trust you. And then when all of those factors are there, they're going to purchase. So what I would be really looking at is how that fits in with that kind of McDonald's example that I gave you. One of the easiest ways to get people to either know that they have a problem or know about you, even if they know they have a problem, is giving them some sort of revelation or some sort of notification. So that revelation could be getting them aware that they have a problem, and once they're aware that they have a problem, just notifying that, hey, you are someone that could potentially solve it. And in terms of getting them to like you, just helping them is a really good way for someone to like you. And once they like you, they need to trust you. And the way you build trust is you make a connection, and that connection lasts over a matter of time, and they are able to see that you make a promise, and then that you deliver on that promise, and you keep your promise, and then you repeat it over and over again, and that they can trust you. And that takes time, and that takes a relationship, and that takes connection. And then they are open to you selling what you are currently doing. So I really think about how you can get people to know they have a problem, know you, like you, and then trust you before you can go out and sell. And then basically on that point of selling, what I would be doing is going to people in real time. So not necessarily online or offline, but I wouldn't be automating this process, and I'd be going out and talking to people and trying to go through that whole process again, to know you, like you, and trust you, and then selling to them in person or online, but in real time. That way you can actually have a conversation with people. It doesn't matter if it's email or it's text or it's phone or you go to a cafe, but at least you can have a conversation with them back and forth, two-way, so you can really work out what they respond to and what they don't respond to. Only at that point, then I would start automating things. I see that trap with a lot of people. They just go straight to automation. Unless you've been doing marketing sales for a long time, or you've been selling your product for a really long time, you may or may not know what is sticking and what is not, what some objections people have and what some objections they do not have. And also really working out what they really, really want. And you can only really find that out through a real-time conversation. What I would also be doing while you're trying to go find those people to go sell to them is I beg your pardon, while you're trying to sell to those people in person, is really just going out and finding those people. And I really suggest go to your initial network because they already know you, they already like you, and they trust you. But beyond that, really figuring out who has the problems that you're trying to solve currently, which I talked about before, but also in the future, and working out what the common denominators are in terms of their demographics, of who they are, where they're located, and so on. Their psychographics, so their interests and their beliefs, and then also the behaviors that they display based on those psychographics and those demographics. So really find out who those people are that could potentially use your solution. In other words, who has that problem currently now that they want to get out of and has some dream to get to some different place in the future that if they don't get, that they then potentially fear some implication of that. So really, that's probably all I have got off the top of my head. And I think, and I haven't been counting, but I believe we've got to 5, or the top 5 things that you asked for. So hopefully that helps. Go out and try it and see what happens.
Thanks for listening, and if you've got a marketing or sales question, please record it, send it to me, and I'll answer it for you for free. And if you like what was on here and want more, please go to orenprunken.com.